If you ride the trails in Park City, Utah, and you want to help make them better, I'm going to show you how in this video. I'm Eric Porter. We're here at the Mountain Trails Foundation headquarters. We're going to pick up some tools and head up and do a volunteer day. The first step is go to mountaintrails.org to the volunteer tab, reach out to Ian Hartley, and set up a time to meet him here. What's up, Ian?
Hey, Eric, how are you doing?
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Thanks for the email, man. Payroll needs a haircut.
Nice. We'll go take care of it.
Yeah, cool. Here are your tools right here. I'll sign them out for you. Definitely keep track of your hours because we use those towards the grant, and just drop me an email when you're done and we'll get you drop those off, meet you here.
Awesome, thanks.
Thanks, Eric. See ya.
One quick thing you can do that makes a huge difference on trails is quick little drainages kicked in with your foot. So at the beginning of payroll, the water is coming down from this snow melt right here, and it's going down the trail for quite a ways, so it's really made it into a V. And if I handle it right at the source right here, I can just put a little ditch in like this. And then once I connect this, it's gonna send all the water on down off the trail and save the trail. When you come out to do trail work, it's important to wear the right clothes as well. So gloves are recommended, as well as closed-toe shoes and pants. We're out on trail now, and you might have noticed I didn't grab any dirt tools, just these loppers. If you want to do dirt work, check the website for when the dig days are, and you can go out with the pros, and they have specific projects in mind, and they'll bring the tools out and show you how to use them and exactly what needs to be done to the trail. For the DIY volunteer days, loppers are great because we can go out and trim the trail back, which is really the #1 thing that needs to be done because this stuff is constantly growing and trying to take over the trail. So we got to keep clipping it back, and the more people that help out with that, the better. While using these loppers, there's a couple things to keep in mind. First off, this is too big for it. This will break the loppers, and then you can't do any trail work, and they have to buy new loppers. So keep it smaller than this, you know, something around an inch or so or smaller, and it'll work much better. So the best technique when you are cutting is to go all the way to the back of the loppers and put your hands here, and then just a nice quick straight cut. Because if you put it in and you start twisting and torquing them and things like that, that's also going to damage the lopper. The angle that you're cutting it at is important as well. You want to come in perpendicular to the branch you want to cut, because if you're at an angle like this, it's going to wedge it in between the two parts of the lopper and spread them apart and bend the cutting blade. So always come in perpendicular to it like this. So that means this way, and that means this way. Another reason we make our cuts perpendicular to the branch is that it leaves a nice flat edge instead of a pointy stick that's going to hurt somebody. You might be wondering, what do I cut and how far back? And the answer is it depends on the trail. So the #1 thing is we want to maintain the character of the trail. On the sides, the #1 thing is making sure there's at least handlebar width, but these things grow fast. So I usually try to clear it back a little ways and give it room to grow as well. In the end, it's kind of like a bad haircut. It's going to grow back. So if you trim back a little bit too far, not a big deal. For narrower hand-built trails, maybe we don't trim them back quite as far because we want to maintain that character and the feel and the nature of the trail. But two-way trails where there's a lot of traffic, like mid-mountain trail or something like that, we really want sight lines. So if the vegetation is blocking being able to see around a corner or see someone coming, that's important to trim that back to keep the trail safe. So trimming back bushes like this not only creates room for passing if you need to on trails, but it also makes it so that people aren't widening the trail by going out and around this vegetation that's growing into the trail. So I'll trim this one now, and then we'll talk about what to do with the branches that you cut off. So now that I've cut these, I want to throw these off the trail. I want to get them as far away as I can, and if you throw them to the downhill side, it's a lot easier to just get them as far away as possible so they don't blow back onto the trail, fall onto the trail, or just lay there dead on the side of the trail not looking good. And you can play a cool game of darts. When you got plants like this that are growing up into the trail and you can actually cut them close to the ground, I would say cut them all the way at the ground, and that way you don't have a sharp punji stick. I did exactly what I said never do. Since we're on payroll trail, there's some jumps, and so the trail is actually about this wide, but as this is growing in, it's pushing people this way into the tree. So what we want to do is cut these at the base and open up this landing again to make it a lot safer. That looks a lot better. Now you have a lot more room on the landing, and it opens up the trail, keeps us away from the trees on that side as well. So this is a tree, and we want to be a little more thoughtful when we're cutting this. Right here, it's growing into the trail, and this is right where you want to be when you're riding. So what I want to do with this is just trim the branches that are sticking out on this side into the trail. That way we preserve the trunk and keeps the character of the trail and lets the tree live on. Sometimes it looks like you'd want to just cut it right here, but if you pull up on it a little bit, sometimes you'll find out that it's actually connected to something over here, and that's where you want to handle it. So as you can see, it still looks like a nice narrow trail. The trees are right there, but we didn't have to actually cut down a tree, and we got the trail back where we want it. I like to come out doing trail work with my kids a lot of the time, and one of the best jobs for them is to find blowdown. Stuff like this that's dead and blew out of a tree. They can pick this up, chuck it off. Everyone has a good time doing that. And same thing with rocks and these old leaf piles. You can just kick them off and have a lot of fun doing that, and keeps the kids occupied and gives them something to do too. If you see big rocks in the trail like this that are embedded in the dirt, those stay. Not only do they help armor the trail, but they're also kind of fun to ride. For overhead branches, you want to cut about 8 feet above your head, whatever you can reach with the lopper safely. And you might think this one doesn't need to go because when you're in the berm and you're down here, it's not a problem. But when you take the high line, it is a problem, especially for tall guys like me. So we're gonna trim this guy. Now we've opened up the high entrance into this berm, which is the best line usually for berms anyway. If you come across down trees and you can't move them, we want you to drop a pin and send that to Mountain Trails so they can come in with the chainsaw crew and get them out of here. But if it's something that's light like this and you can safely get it out of the way, just go ahead and move it. And that'll keep the trail safer for everybody. None of these rules are set in stone. They're more guidelines, and our number one priority is the experience you have on the trail. So with something like this, where it's easy to duck under and it gives you a cool feeling of kind of riding through a tunnel and that sort of thing, and it's really not going to cause any problems, I might just leave it. And if you have questions of whether you should cut it or not, just leave it and hit it another time if you change your mind. This trail network wouldn't be possible without all of you helping, not only with donations, but your volunteer time like this. And the great thing about this specific program is it lets you do it on your own time, so you don't have to plan around a specific day. And we really appreciate everybody coming out and helping, doing their part. That's what keeps these trails awesome. Thanks for helping keep these trails awesome. Make sure to tell your friends as well, because the more people, the better. We'll see you out on trail. Whew, this section was a doozy. The sight lines were terrible. You couldn't see around the corners, super dangerous for riding down. Couldn't tell if someone was coming up at you, so I just took care of it. I am blown away with how good these loppers do. It's incredible.